good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Home Helpers Home Care Thrive. Very excited to have someone who knows home helpers pretty much inside and out. I think he's been here for almost the whole time. I don't think quite the whole time, but almost. But our Vice President of Franchise Development, Bobby Kelley. And Bobby, thank you for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me, Nick. Excited to spend some time with you.
Awesome. Well, please, just to get started, can you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background and how long you've been with Home Helpers?
Yeah, it's funny because I think people assume my background is home helpers. On October 5th of this year, I will celebrate my 20th year with the organization. And I will tell you, it's a lifetime here at Home Helpers, but every day is a new day. So super excited about the next 20 years, believe it or not. But yeah, my background in franchising is here, and I'm very, very proud of that. I think, the more you get out in the franchising world, you meet a lot of folks that have been with a lot of different brands and held a lot of different positions. But I'm very fortunate. Always been on the development side of things here at Home Helpers, but this is the only franchising brand I know, and I will tell you, for the last 20 years, it's been very rewarding. So super excited for the next 20.
Awesome. Well, having worked with you for a long time now, I've got to hear some stories. And, one of the things that was interesting is you joined Home Helpers and in franchising, you've been here for so long. What made you stay with franchising? You've told me a little bit about, your before Home Helpers. How did that equate and inform you, what you saw in franchising that you're still here after all those years?
Yeah, I grew up around athletics. Athletics was extremely, extremely important in my home. And I will tell you, it afforded me the right to get through school. I was very fortunate to play college basketball at a pretty significant high level. And a lot of those skill sets and a lot of that training and a lot of what makes somebody excel, maybe at athletics, was very similar to, what I found in franchising. Meaning that, somebody gave me a script. When should I get up? When should I work out? Make sure you get to study hall. Practice is at 4. And if you do these things, you'll have a great career. You'll have the best 4 years of your life. And I think franchising is very similar, and probably why, I fell in love with it is that to take somebody who's got big dreams, big expectations, never thought they could get somewhere, and then to have this group of people say, just follow this game plan, right? You follow this game plan, and I'll promise you it's going to be hard not to succeed. And very early on in my career, I started to put the two together and thought, you know what, this franchising gig may be for me. To see success stories and to be part of somebody's journey from that first phone call to, hey, we're celebrating an award they got at a national convention of ours, is just, it's something that resonated with the experiences I had in athletics, to where you work with this group of people, and then you arrive at a place of celebration because you've won. And so franchising athletics has always been very similar, but I think that has a lot to do with my longevity here at Home Helpers, and especially in the franchising world.
Yeah, it's interesting. It made me think a lot like along in the athletic background. Similarly, we see that, and we've talked about this in the past with veterans. Veterans have that background of focus, attitude, discipline, and can see success. And even in our own system, I know we've seen veterans a path forward for them after they've served because of those things you mentioned too, similar to the athletics, right?
Yeah, I mean, been very fortunate to work with quite a few veterans that are either now our franchise owners or have moved on and are celebrating, selling the franchise for profit or what have you. But I will tell you that it's hard to miss with a veteran, and for the reasons you mentioned, Nick. Franchising is kind of, if you look at it, built around their train of thought. We've always talked about here that if you follow the system, right, you're going to find a success and you're going to end up where you want to be. And it's very similar to how veterans are wired. We have found, right, they follow a system, give them the details. What you won't have to worry about with them is executing the game plan, right? So if you have the format, they're going to carry out the mission. And I will tell you, not only here at Home Helpers, but you hear stories throughout franchising that veterans make great, great, great franchisees. So yeah, spot on in our world as well. And I will tell you, we're super excited to not only work with a lot of them now currently, but also the initiatives we're doing to continue to work with veterans for many years to come. So I agree 100%.
Awesome. Well, Franchising can be a really powerful path for entrepreneurs. We often talk about it. It's the right fit for several aspiring entrepreneurs. It might not be the right fit, right? And you've seen franchisees at all aspects of running this business, coming on board, guiding them through the discovery process, 2 years in, 5 years in, 12 years in. What part of that journey resonates with you most?
Yeah, I think, Nick, it's got to be that onboarding piece. That onboarding piece. I've always been one to step off a curb, right? If I see something I want, or if I get those butterflies in my stomach as an athlete, right? Those butterflies mean something fun is about to happen. Something rewarding is about to happen. And I used to even coach candidates a little bit that, hey, if you're researching, not just home helpers, but entrepreneurship, if you're not getting those butterflies, it may not be for you. It may not be for you. So I've always looked at the onboarding piece as being maybe the most exciting and definitely the piece of the journey that resonates with me the most because, especially in development, you got to be yourself. You got to be able to step off the curb, take chances, work with someone who maybe don't fit the box, but deep down could be a great franchisee. So I've always been one to say, hey, if you can get me started, I'll take care of the rest. And I think that's a lot of what we do for individuals is that we paint a picture of the reality we've experienced for the last 27 years and let them see, hey, it's right around the corner. It's closer than you think. And sometimes we got to get out of our own way in order to go chase our dreams. So I think, in the development piece, we do that a lot. We reassure people that, hey, this isn't far-fetched. Owning your own business is you're real close. And once we kind of push all that aside and give them the path, it's so enjoyable to watch them take off. And not just chasing their dreams, but now there's a mission that matters. Now it's something bigger than all of us. So I think that onboarding piece has always been the most exciting part. But at the same time, the end piece obviously is what we all work for. So after 28 years, we got a very, very mature system that you can see kind of the full circle moments, right? We're still bringing in franchisees every day. We have a competitive budget that we want to hit because there's such a need out there. And there's places that we know have a demand for the services that we provide. And we want to get the best franchisees into those areas. But then you blink and you got somebody who's been doing it 20 years and has won so many awards and they're scaling their business every day. And to see like those two folks come together at like a national meeting, it's just special. So I'm blessed, Nick. I'm very fortunate to be part of something, again, that's much larger than me. But that onboarding piece is always going to be kind of it'll have a special place in my heart.
Those butterflies of growth, it's always nice to have somebody there with you through them, and I know that, in franchising, one of the things I hear all over the place is that with franchising, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that's an important thing because those butterflies are important. That's how we grow. Yeah. But boy, is it nice to have somebody with you when you're going through it.
Yeah. And, Nick, if I could add to that, you're spot on. And I think, that's franchising. I was still very early in my career, if business was easy, we would all do it. Franchising, though, makes it a little bit easier, right? And I often talk to our candidates about it's not just having somebody next to you. It's having somebody next to you that understands where you're at in the journey. And again, with home helpers and what we've been able to do over the last 28 years is we kind of pride ourselves on innovation, right? Being the most innovative brand in the space. And I think a lot of candidates or people from the outside look at that as technology or what advances are we doing? Sometimes it's just taking the typical franchising approach and saying, how can we alter better that? And again, what do you hear in franchising? You hear about the marketing, you hear about the support, you hear about the technology, you hear about the systems. And I will tell you that support piece better be the most important part of somebody's decision. And as they're weighing that, I would want to understand, are the folks that are providing me support, do they understand where I'm at in the journey? Meaning day 6 is a heck of a lot different than year 6. In year 6, you got a heck of a lot of different things coming at you than you probably do day 6. So again, we have been very fortunate to be extremely innovative in our support and to understand, have people in place that all they do is concentrate on where that individual candidate's at that time. So if you're in onboarding, we have onboarding managers, right? If you're in year 2, year 3, and now you're starting to build your business, we got our reps there that are concentrating on that piece of the puzzle. And then if you have worked this business and scaled it up to being one of the top 25 owners in the country, there's a different level of support there as well. So, I'm very, very confident in our approach because I see franchisees every day relate to it and almost in a very thankful way to say, you know what, when I had this go on year 4, there was somebody who understood that was going to happen probably around year 3, 4, 5. They were ready and they had answers. And so again, it's just being part of a very mature system. It's just being part of something that over 20, going on 28 years has evolved to understand a franchisee's journey, not just the corporate office's journey, but the franchisee's journey. So again, we're blessed. We're blessed to have a very cool team here and always thinking what's next. So
Yeah, I think too, one of the things is when you're an entrepreneur outside of franchising, your competition is not going to help you. You're running your company as CEO, it's you against the world a lot of times. One of the things that I was amazed in I've been here about half the time you have with home helpers. And one of the things that stood out to me and that was new to me is you expect a franchisor to have solid support. And, that should be part of the conversation if you're looking at buying a franchise. What stood out to me too is, to your point, is when you're at year 4, guess what? There's another franchise out there that's at that point. That our network, is very supportive of each other as a general, concept. So I think that's something too, outside of just the National Support Center support, that camaraderie of other entrepreneurs that are going through the same time that you are, we have a network from what of support there.
Yeah, and Nick, there's not too many franchises out there to say, hey, I franchise one myself, right? Why are we looking at this? We're looking at this because it's evolved into something much larger, and there's others that are doing what I'm going to do every single day. There's comfort in that. I heard it summed up, and I've heard it quite a few times, but I think it's worth mentioning is that Emma Dickinson, our CEO, says it best, and I've heard her say it over and over, year after year, but it's so true, is that when you step foot into our franchise system, there are the tools, the resources, the support, right? All the things, Nick, we've talked about and what makes a franchise an appealing, right, option for somebody. But what is not mentioned much, but should be, is that you're basically tiptoeing into one of the largest, strongest fraternity, sorority you will ever be able to join. And right, if you think about that, fraternity, sororities, first day of school, right? There's 40 people helping you put your stuff in your dorm room. Hey, I got class over at the hall the other day. Okay, well, let me show you where the hall is. Hey, I don't know where the lunch or the cafeteria is. Well, come with us. Hey, where's the big party at Friday? I've never been here. Come with us. We're going to have some fun. I mean, that's franchising done right. And I will tell you, here in a month, we're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, with hundreds of our franchisees celebrating a fantastic year and talking about what's next at our national convention. And you get that vibe, you get that feel right when you walk in, right? This huge welcoming committee for the people that are there for the first year. And it's so neat to say, man, I look over and that table's got someone who's been here for less than 30 days. And sitting next to them is somebody who's been here 15 years. And to hear the questions and to hear the feedback, and that's franchising done right. We're very good at what we do. Very good. Our leadership team has done a fantastic job filling this national, support center with talent and people that care, not only operationally or from a marketing standpoint or systems wide, people that have owned their own home care company, right? People that have been around 20 years, right? A Mercedes, who's been around 18 going on 19 years, right? So you have tenure, you have talent, you have expertise. The true value, though, is the person that's waking up doing exactly what you do in their local market, and to be able to pick up a phone, put together an email, or bump into them in a national conference and say, can I run something by you? That's the realest answer you're ever going to get. So there's tremendous value in it. And again, it goes back to your first question, Nick. It's why I love franchising, right? Like walking into the best locker room in the world and everyone's got the same mission, same plan, same approach. We all just may do it a little bit different when we get out on the court. So, but it's something special.
Awesome. Couldn't agree more. What are some key supports that, we all know that it's kind of like when you got to learn how to walk to run. What are
Yeah.
some key supports, that you think make a franchisee's early years more manageable for them?
Yeah. Nick, you often, again, I speak from a development standpoint, and we hear it a lot. And those who have ever worked with me or, worked around me, I early on, I thought franchising was about the stuff, right? I get marketing and I get these materials and I got this brand and I got this operating system. And again, that should be a piece of it. In our case, after 28 years, I tell every candidate I work with, right? You should expect that stuff. You should expect it. Shouldn't buy it. Should expect it. Make sure it's what you need it to be, validate, what have you. But at the end of the day, you should expect that. What you are purchasing and what is key are the people. So to get him back, Nick, I think it's very important for those early on. What's in place for you are people, right? And those people are going to cover the key points of the business, the marketing, the support, the technology, what have you. But collaboration and individuals that want to work with you and work to support you are as important as any tool in your toolbox. Again, our tools, our systems, our support been fine-tuned over 28 years. It's pretty darn good. But the people that are going to help you utilize them, invaluable. You can't put a value on them. They're special. So again, anybody early on, when you look at what is key for success or key to get you up and rolling the right way or key to build the foundation, the key is collaborating with the people who want to support you, because that's what they're there for, right? So they're a tool, they're a resource. That voice is something that you're never going to be able to replace. It's not in the manual. So that's always the advice I give.
There's real relationships. And another thing, again, looking back at young Nick before I joined Home Helpers, that was another eye-opening thing is just how much people-based franchising is. Meaning, I guess in my mind, and maybe it's just me, or maybe this is what people coming into franchising, I get tools and resources. Yes, that's what you expect, I think, when you hear the word franchising.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the extent of the community aspect of franchising.
Yeah.
Everybody says business in a box. Well, it's those tangible things, but it's the intangible aspects of business, like you said, those relationships. And I think that was something even I had to learn, when
Yeah. And Nick, I talk about it a lot because it's reality, right? I think in franchising, we have a responsibility to anybody looking to step foot into it for the first time to paint a reality. How does my life change in 6 days after I own your franchise or I step off the curb? And when you look at that, getting back to your point, is that there's true value in understanding who has your back on a horrible Tuesday. And I know a lot of franchisors don't want to talk about a horrible Tuesday. If you've attended a Home Helpers Meet the Team Day, or if you worked with Bobby, I will promise you have heard about a horrible Tuesday. You know why? Because you're going to have one. And any franchise in the world that says, nope, every day is clockwork, they're fibbing to you. I promise you. You're going to have a horrible Tuesday. And that's when you will first see the true value of who you picked to go into business with as a franchisee. And I think that is so important because, it is a community. It's collaborative. It's people. And when you open that manual and you open that training manual, or you go back to those slides, or you look at your marketing materials, or you get on your fancy system that's managing everything for you, it will not give you a motivational speech on why that Tuesday is going to come and go and Wednesday is going to be awesome. But I'll promise you, those people supporting you will. And I promise you, when you pick up the phone, back up a little bit and you're collaborative and say, hey, this isn't a call about a question. This is this, man. Is this normal? Am I supposed to have this bad Tuesday? 3 people calling sick and this guy says he's not sending me business, or this meeting fell through, or whatever. And our team says, yeah, it's normal. Tomorrow's going to be awesome. Because they've been there. They've done that. That's the true value. And again, easy for us to say 28 years, right? Probably not too much we haven't been exposed to or haven't had to overcome, or a wall that we haven't had to kick down. But that's really what with home helpers is so unique. Is so unique is that the tenure in this building, and again, the expertise and the talent is one thing, but the love for what we do is second to none. And we don't have 72 franchises. We don't have shared resources. We don't have 15 other brands. We live, breathe, eat home care. And so when somebody calls and they say, man, I'm having that bad day, we know what a bad day in home care looks like. And we got your back. And I think that, again, that's value. That's value. That should be a very, very important piece to someone's decision is, can I hold them accountable, number one? But number two, man, is that who I want to have my back on that bad Tuesday? Because, man, if you like it or not, it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Well, as you look back on this journey, what are you most proud of, and what excites you most about the future, either for yourself or more broadly about within the realm of franchising and home care as an industry?
Yeah, when I look back on the journey, it's funny because I don't know if I've ever really recapped the journey because the industry we're in and the brand that we're so fortunate to be a part of, every day is such a new day. We touched on it earlier. We don't need to be the largest, but we're going to be the most innovative. So every day is such a new day here. But I will tell you what I'm most proud of. And I'll experience it usually once a year, and that's coming up in April at our national conference. And I walk in, and I see nothing but smiles. I see celebrations. I see people getting awarded for hard work. A lot of hugs. And I sit back and I think, as I look at these groups and I look on stage and Emma's handing awards out and videos are playing that are testimonials for someone's success or whatever it may be. And I remember the first phone call. And I've been fortunate because I've been in hundreds and hundreds of our franchisees. I've been a part of their journey, and thank you all for that. But I can almost remember the first call of anyone I've worked with. Maybe not the second, third, fourth, or even closing the deal or what have you, but I can almost remember the first call. So what I'm most proud of, Nick, it's not about the number. It's not about, starting from the bottom and now being able to be the vice president of development for the organization. It's about that first phone call leading to something that's so special because that individual trusted me, trusted our brand, stepped off the curb, and is now celebrating something that, whether it was 2 years ago, 10 years ago, now 20 years ago, they never thought they could. That's special. So that's kind of the journey piece. And like I said, I get to live through that once a year, and it's a really, really special time for me personally. I know it's a special time for our brand. But where we're headed, brother, the train is just getting moving. You hear me say it all the time. And, if I'm annoying folks on LinkedIn saying this train's moving, hop on it, be annoyed because it is moving. And, we're blessed. We're blessed to have a leader like Emma Dickinson who is thinking 2 steps ahead, right? What's next in home care? What's next, in our space, and not just, celebrating the wins every day. And once we celebrate, her rule is we got 24 hours to celebrate. We got to go. We got something else to go take care of. So, that's what I'm most excited about, is to be aligned with a brand that there is no end game, right? We're in an industry that this thing's not going anywhere. And we got franchisees that are growing every day. So I'm really excited about the future. I'm really excited about the initiatives we're doing, that I'm going to stay a little zipped about, but coming soon. But again, it's hard not to be really excited working at Home Helpers because every day is a new day. And boy, the next 20 years, we got a lot of cool stuff planned.
It's always exciting.
Yeah.
Always exciting here. Well, as we wrap up, and somebody listening has a goal of owning a business. Maybe they've had it for years, but they've never acted on it even, and they're hearing this for the first time. What advice would you give that person if they're considering either franchising, opening their own business, or the home care industry versus some other industries? What would you share with that person?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot, and I go back to really, it all starts with go with your gut, right? There's so much out there now, where you can research something till you're blue in the face, right? I mean, there's more content, there's more information, there's more ways to learn about, not just franchising, but anything you want to do. And I will tell you, it's still going to come down to, do you believe in yourself? There's not a Bobby sitting at a desk that can tell you that, no matter what you're looking at. And so you got to really weigh, do I believe I can wake up every day and be happy at this, right? Hard work will give you results. But boy, it won't be as warm and fuzzy. It won't be as rewarding if you're not happy doing it. So really weigh the personal side, not just the work and what goes into it, the financial piece of it, right? Those are facts, those are figures, those are boxes you check. What, you're not going to be able to check on a piece of paper is who you see in the mirror. And I think it is often overlooked that I didn't take into consideration how I was going to feel. I thought it was going to fill this box, and I thought it was going to financially put me here, and I thought it was going to free me up for this, and I thought it was going to, right? How do you personally feel when you wake up and you flip the lights on and it's time to attack the day? Where does this fall into that? And can that make you happy and motivated? And I work with candidates on that. And I would tell anybody who's looking at opportunity is first look at yourself and figure out, does it make sense? And once you know, hey, it makes sense, then number two, it's real simple. Go with the best or don't go. Go with the best or don't go. Once you know you want to do something, and if franchising is the lane you want to go down, align yourself with the best. And the reason I say that is that there's going to be a point of time where in the market, right, you're going to have that bad Tuesday, and you're going to know that the reason they're really good is not because of all the accolades you read. The reason they're really good is because of the millions of mistakes they made for 28 years before they handed the keys to me. So again, weigh the right things, go with your gut, align yourself with the best, and it's going to be really, really hard for you to lose.
Well, Bobby, I appreciate the time today. I mean, we've worked together for years, and I still learn more every time we get to talk. I always grow from it. So I appreciate your time today, and I hope our listeners, were able to glean some new information, some new insights, maybe a new way of looking at things as they explore this journey. And also, Bobby has graciously said, allow me to share his contact information. So even if you're at that beginning stage and maybe you don't know if franchising is the right path, but you just have is this something I could do? Can I open my own business? And you just need to, as a coach, some coaching there. Feel free to reach out to Bobby, and you're going to be in good hands to answer any of those questions. So Bobby can be reached via email at bkelley, and it's Kelley. Can't forget the second E there, at homehelpershomecare.com. Again, that's bkelley, Kelley, at homehelpershomecare.com. And his phone number is 513-483-3283. Did I get that right?
That's it.
All right. I'll say one more time, 513-483-3283. And if you want to learn more about the franchise opportunity with Home Helpers, again, Bobby, there's information everywhere.
Yeah.
Get that information. Go get it. It's there. Ours is at homehelpersfranchise.com, which is all one word. And there's a lot of great information to get you started. If you want to research there first and then want to learn more after that, our contact number is there too. So you can always reach out to us. But I just want to thank you again, Bobby. Enjoyed the time with you today, and looking forward to a great 2025.
Yeah, Nick, thanks, man. Always great chatting with you. And again, I appreciate the time today.
All right. Have a good one.